Lake and welcome to Tibet This Week, a weekly feature in English that tells you about this week's news on Tibet, His Holiness the Dalai Lama and the Central Tibetan Administration. Let's look at the headlines first. Tibetans in exile must speak up for freedom and rights of those in Tibet, says His Holiness the Dalai Lama at TCV Ladakh. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Central Tibetan Administration President and Tibetan Parliament in Exile Speaker, congratulates India's President-elect Nath Kovind. Tibetans remain grateful to Liu Xiaobo for supporting Tibet, says Central Tibetan Administration. Tibetans must be alive to serve our cause, says Central Tibetan Administration President. Hansraj College honors Central Tibetan Administration President Dr. Lobsang Sangay on 70th anniversary. Tibetan spiritual leader His Holiness the Dalai Lama on Tuesday gave a profound advice to Tibetans in exile to speak up for rights and freedom of Tibetans in Tibet while embracing education as vehicle for change. His Holiness said that although the Tibetan state fragmented after the 9th century, but the common language is something that has Tibetans together. He further said that one of the factors ensuring the continuing strength of the Tibetan spirit is the common language that underlies our culture and religion. His Holiness breathed optimism as he said China and that over the last 20 years there has been change even after the same region. He further elucidated that many Chinese intellectuals, including the late Liu Xiaobo, supported the Tibetan approach. His Holiness explained that articles written by Chinese after 2008 are critical of their government's policies, support the Tibetan middle way approach and see it as the best way to resolve the long-standing issue of Tibet. On Thursday last week, His Holiness the Dalai Lama congratulated Sri Nath Kovind on his election as the President of India, the world's largest democracy. In his letter, His Holiness said, "This is the 58th year of our life in exile. Thanks to the kindness and generosity of the government and the people of India, more than 130,000 Tibetans continue to make their homes in this country. We will always be grateful." The President of Central Tibetan Administration, Dr. Lobsang Sangay, also congratulated the new President-elect for the resounding victory in the 14th presidential election of India. Dr. Sangay wrote, "Your decisive victory in the presidential election is a testament to the democratic consciousness of the people of India, deep-rooted values of secularism, inclusion and oneness of the Indian culture." Speaker of the Tibetan Parliament in Exile, Venerable Khenpo Sonam Tengpel, also congratulated Sri Nath Kovind, the new President-elect of India. Sri Nath Kovind, a 71-year-old, was sworn in as the 14th President of India on Tuesday. On Friday last week, the Central Tibetan Administration organized a prayer gathering for deceased Chinese Nobel laureate Liu Xiaobo, a prominent democracy activist and staunch supporter of Tibetan aspirations. Addressing the prayer ceremony, President Dr. Lobsang Sangay said he mourned the loss of one of the greatest champions for democracy, protection of human rights and freedom in China, and said Liu Xiaobo was the first Chinese citizen to be awarded a Nobel Prize while living in China. Above all, he was among the first Chinese intellectuals to openly support His Holiness the Dalai Lama and genuine autonomy for Tibet. The President further said, "The Tibetan movement has lost a dear friend, but it is his belief that Liu Xiaobo's ideas and unremitting efforts would continue to inspire long after his death." Tenzin Gyaltsab, a 19-year-old Tibetan student from Central University of Tibetan Studies who set himself on fire on 14 July, breathed his last on Saturday last week. Gyaltsab's remains was brought to Dharamshala on Tuesday and was cremated the next day. Central Tibetan Administration President Dr. Lobsang Sangay paid respect to Tenzin Gyaltsab's body and expressed profound condolences to his parents before heading to Delhi for an official engagement. Speaking at the prayer service, Ngawang Khetup, father of the deceased self-immolator, said, "I urge the youth to pursue more powerful means such as education to contribute substantially to our cause. We must have the determination to achieve our goals, freedom for 6 million Tibetans and the return of His Holiness the Dalai Lama to the Potala Palace and place the Tibetan national flag back on the world map," he further said. On Friday last week, while speaking at a prayer meeting organized by the Central Tibetan Administration for deceased Nobel laureate Liu Xiaobo, Central Tibetan Administration President Dr. Lobsang Sangay urged Tibetans to pray for Tenzin Chewing and said, "While we understand the intention behind the act of self-immolation, we must remember that the life of every Tibetan is precious and that we must be alive to fight for our cause. In a free country, we have a freedom to embark on all possible methods to contribute substantially to advancing our cause. The life of every Tibetan is precious, and every life lost is a huge loss for us and our cause." The Kashak has consistently and categorically discouraged self-immolation, especially in exile where Tibetans have the freedom to participate in protests in any form one chooses to do. On Wednesday this week, the President of Central Tibetan Administration, Dr. Lobsang Sangay, was conferred with the prestigious Mahatma Hansraj Gaurav Samman Award by Hansraj College, University of Delhi, for his stellar contribution to the cause of Tibet as an expert on international human rights and conflict resolution. The award citation also read, "We humbly honor our alum, who is a leading political figure in Tibet, and pray for greater laurels and even more esteemed future." The award was in recognition of Dr. Sangay as one of the most accomplished and illustrious alumnus of Hansraj College. Shri Kiran Rijiju, Minister of State for Home Affairs, was also facilitated at the ceremony. In his address, President Dr. Sangay shared his story from an average student to being honored as one of its most accomplished alumnus and spoke of India as #1 civilization in the world.
A lot about making India, but I just want to remind you all, the original Made in India is the Tibetan movement. Because leaders are born and brought up in India, we follow Gandhian notion of ahimsa, we follow Indian democracy. You all educated us and told us, be somebody. So we followed all that. It's all made in India. So we are the original made in India. Hence we have to succeed. If you succeed, India succeeds.
So much for this week. See you next Friday and have a good weekend.